Hello everyone and welcome back. It's time for 3D printing preview for December 2024. We're looking at fantasy. First off, a happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I'm thankful for you. Let's get started. I do these in alphabetical order, by the way, and we're going to start with Arbiter Miniatures. Arbiter Miniatures in December will be doing Dragon Men or Dragon Kin. They often release some that have that require supports and some that do not. Artisan Guild is releasing a long requested angel faction, the Malachim. So these are work in progress that they were showing off as they were preparing these. You'll notice that these are not just images, but also images from their work screens. As a reminder, this is Thanksgiving time, so Black Friday sales are going on. If you go to My Mini Factory, you can use the code BF24 and save 50% off the STLs. And or I think this might be their website as well, but I do know that's the code on My Mini Factory too. In a similar vein, Archvillain Games is doing their 5-year anniversary sale, and this is until the 30th of November, so only a couple more days left actually. Man, this month is flying by now. Beholder Miniatures has released a preview. Here we see some dwarves and a cannon. Very nice and clean renders. You have me if you have a nice clean render, and all of these are beautiful. Bestiarum Miniatures has released some December concept art. So we have the Druidic Triune, a Wood Elf Remnant. Now to me, Remnant is one of the more sorrowful sounding undead type names, but just find it interesting. A Root Host Treant, the Green Man as well. Bite the Bullet Studios is almost always fantasy. Now first, again, they're doing, but this month is a little bit different because their release this month is actually sci-fi based. And so I wouldn't normally include it in this video, but they are doing a bunch of throwback packs. And these throwback packs are actually the last few years of December. So from December 2021, you'll be getting that pack as well. And so this comes with some alternative sculpts as well, and all this other stuff as well. So I just wanted to point that out. So there is some fantasy based stuff, just not in the new release. Cast and Play Miniatures snuck in a video as I was preparing to get this done, so I took a few screen grabs from it, so apologies for the quality here. But the Holiday Horde is the theme. And so we can see here, these are mostly orc, goblin, troll type characters. Disguised rascals. Christmas goblins. Goblin gift artillery. Shower them with presents, right? Christmas tree decorations. Decorators, maybe. Some orc delivery. The orc claws in his throne I thought was actually a very nice miniature. They did an excellent paint job on that. Christmas trolls. Not just in your basement anymore. I don't know what the deal is with the fairy get up, but there it is. Claudio Casini Art has released a December preview. There is the Ape Folk Wizard, a Centaur Summoner, and a Crab Demon Monster. Clay Beast Creations has released a couple of previews. They are going, I think, for like winter giants, basically. This is the Iron Hoarder, And this is the Njordson. Very highly detailed, nice giant miniatures. I like these. Claymore Miniatures has released some previews for Trial of Souls, and these are more concept art, but the art alone is very well done. I'm very impressed with the art. We have the Warden and the Champion of Justice. Sorry, I don't know what that graphic glitch was just then. Lady Justice and an Angel of Judgment. Angel of Death, an Angel of Grief. The chest of that one is very odd. A Celestial Lion and a Plantar. A Defier. I'll admit, when I first read that, I thought it was the Defiler, but it's the Defier. I think either name would actually probably work. There's the Protector. Holyphant, which I think Epic Miniatures has done one of those before. And then the Cassisian Helmet, which is kind of similar to what the true classic Angel Seraphim description, and an Aasimar. Or Aasimar. Comet Lord Miniatures has released a few previews as well. We have Melkor the Silent Death, and this miniature confuses me. There's a dagger in his hand, and a dagger in his hand, and a finger over the mouth. Where's the third hand coming from? We have Alvaro, the Father of Thorns. Appears to be some sort of undead creation. And then Knight of the Golden Will. This one comes in multiple poses, which few of these do. In addition, you also have a great spiritual weapon as well, of a great sword. Unfortunately, Crippled God Foundry has not shown their previews yet, but they do have a Frontier currently live on my mini factory of monster ornaments that you can go check out if you have not done so. So I did want to give them a shout out for that. Dino and Dog has released a small preview with the Daspletosaurus King. I don't know if that's an actual dinosaur or a made-up name, but that's what he's calling it. Nice, detailed dinosaur, of course. DM Stash snuck this in on me as I was preparing this video, so here is kind of an overview of the December release, very oriental release. Typical DM Stash purview, they do a 2D map and 3D printable terrain that goes on top, and I really like that motif. Of course, their miniature releases are usually designed around a theme, around a campaign of a Dungeons & Dragons module sort, so definitely worth checking out. Shinkaru, the Eastern Crimson Dragon, or Gyokoshu, the Jade Golem. Ling Shi, the Medusa of the East. Yushin, a Serpent Folk assassin. Kuzan, the Traveler. Hushin, Commander from the East. Bao Long, Eastern Orc Battlemaster. Rakshasa, the Terrible. Ling Shi, Medusa of the East, so there's the non-bust version. And the terrain alone, if you are into Eastern style terrain, the terrain alone for this month is well worth it, in my humble opinion. The Dragon Trappers Lodge has released a few previews. Again, they have multiple tiers, so at the most basic tier, there's their preview. For the Trapper tier, we see these various sorts. Again, a lot of Oriental themes with theirs. Like this guy on the left here, is that a building in his shoulder? I'd be interested to see how these miniatures turn out. These guys have quite the armor. Oh, you have trains. You have my attention, Dragon Trapper's Lodge. If only it was a real working train. But look at this. Like, okay, so it goes over fire or something? And these come in multiple versions. Look, boss wagons and stable wagons. I'll be honest with you folks, I actually cut out some of the... They have a lot of detailed interiors for these trains, and I cut out several of them because this is a preview. But wow, it's impressive what they've come up with. For the soldier tier, we have some preview art as well. We're looking, again, I think these are these albino lizard folk. So this is part 2. Was it Cult of the Pale One, I think is what they call it. Or something like that. Again, most of this is just concept art at the moment, but it'll be in miniature form pretty soon. Also, they have announced that on December 10th, they'll be doing their first Kickstarter, Draconic Legends, the Archdrake, or Archdrake. So be sure to follow along for that. In addition, they are, of course, doing Black Friday sales now through December 3rd. They're also selling physical models. So this 15% off makes you might be like, well, normally people are doing 50% off, but that's for STLs. These are for actual physical models, and these are on their Etsy. So be sure to check that out if you don't have access or don't have time for a 3D printer and you want just certain miniatures from them. You can get them from them directly. Dragon's Lake Miniatures has released quite a few previews. We have the Shackled Slaves for the Infernal Dwarves, and all of these are Infernal Dwarves. I like the fact that if you look between these two, it's kind of fun to go back and forth and see the slight variation in those models. These are modular. They also have a command group. I find it interesting that the Shackled Slaves would have a musician and a bannerman saying, hey, here we are. I mean, they're slaves, right? The Infernal Engine is impressive. Notice that there are 3 different weapons that can go on the weapons platform on the back end. This is also, of course, modular. We have the Gunnery team, which comes with a few weapons choices. Notice that these do come together as well. And then we have the Overlord on Bull of Shamut. And then they have released today some terrain, such as this floating portal, the Naphtha tank, a column, and this is out of order, sorry. So there's the Gunnery teaming in, and notice that they all 3 have different weapon choices. And I really like the fact that, like with the flamethrower, you can see the flames coming out, you can see the missiles shooting out, the wrecking ball being shot as well. So Duncan Shadow confuses me a little bit with some of the releases. This is a Goblin Barbarian multi-part kit. I'll be honest, these are Goblin Barbarians, and Duncan Shadow does not disappoint with these fellas. I can't actually, I don't think I should show you some of these, because he does actually have naked versions of these guys too, and you can, you know, go check that out if you want to. He also has some of these that are pre-posed as well, so you don't have to assemble them yourself. but his goblins have a lot of character, so definitely worth checking out. Dungeon Classics has released some concept art, so apparently we're going to be looking forward to a young blue dragon, some blue wormlings, and then some other creatures as well. Epic Miniatures has released their first update for the month of December. This being a preview, we're only going to look at a few of them. We're not going to look at every single sculpt because they usually do about 3 sculpts of each one. Update number 1 from Epic is going to be Prison Break. We have a Bone Guard on the left and a Captured Harpy on the right. We have just some generic prisoners, and these come again in multiple sculpts. We'll look at these in the first overview video of the month. We have a Spider Swarm. We have a Half-Drow Slave Master on the left. On the right, we have a Halfling Slave. Here we see a Imprisoned Blacksmith, and what's called a Flesh Warper on the right. Kind of a weird mini, in my opinion. Slave Merchant on the left, and I guess a Lizard Folk Slave. Here we see an Old Prisoner on the left. He comes in a few different versions, some with a hood, and a Troll Executioner on the right. We have a Human Jailer on the left, and a Captured Hill Giant on the right. I love the fact that there's a cow and a tree for scale. We have a Female Slaver on the left, and a Fat Dragon. Flesh of Gods Miniatures has done their full release for the month, Forgotten Ancestry, or full sneak peek rather. So here we see the Void God, which apparently has a space for a mini D20 to be inlaid. We have Elliot, Icon of the Void, as well as Elliot Void Consumed. We have Oblivion and a Void Dragon, a Myconid Warlord, and a Verdant Colossus. Forgotten Hydra, and Oberon, the Green Lord. Now, of course, if we have Oberon, we have Titania, the Light Queen, and a Void Warped Basilisk, Void Marauders, and Gorik, Circle of the Void Druid. We have Gorik, Void Sage, and Aethra, Void Caller Druid. Are those baskets on her ears? Thalie, the Rift Ranger, and Rogar, the Werebeast Avenger. That sword, or is it an axe? It's a complicated weapon. We have Dunsari, the Archphase Warlock. I like her staff. And Treefolk Shaman. We have Cain, a Celestial Champion, and Finn, Protector of Realms. I like Finn, classic Elven Ranger sword. We have Harker, the Crimson Blade, and Hexios, the Dark Mother's Herald. Ludos, the Clockwork Shadow. Notice his leg is the clockwork, I believe. Ursula, the Wonder Archmage. We have a challenge winner, the Faceless Knight, and they always do a diorama with Flesh of Gods, and there's the Void Communion. Every time I look at those, it's always like there has to be a story that I just am not familiar with that's being told. And, of course, a couple of busts. Fleshcraft Studios is doing Scarlet Sanctum this month, and yes, there's a miniature for that, and it's as horrific as you would expect Mother Superior Drusilla to be. There's a champion, the Bishop of Roses, along with some elites, the Scarlet Harlots, and 5 Bloodspawn minions. Goonmaster Games has doing an airship, which could be an airship or a water ship, whichever you wish, and some sailor rats to go along with those, I would dare say. Goonmaster has really been expanding into bits and bases, and they've done some frontiers, some Kickstarters for this, and they're not disappointing. There's some waffles, and there's chicken, and some pie, and hamburgers, and hot dogs, and I'm not even sure where everything on the right there is supposed to be. Various electronics, and I guess hatches and such. So if you really want bits and pieces to base your models or to build onto your terrain, Goonmaster has you really covered well in that area. Great Grimoire is doing the Glacial Curse. There's only a few minis, and so their tier is a little bit smaller. And again, they don't have actual images, so I had to take a few screen grabs. But we have Silvara Frostheart here, who has is in a sled and can be pulled by her pet here. We have Caver. My first thought when I saw this young man is, I bet he wants some Turkish delight. And then we have Elendra Hearthsong, with a fairly heavily armored deer. And all 3 of these characters come with busts that you can paint as well. Highlands Miniatures is returning to the Aegean Elves this month. I'm sure we'll come back and see more soon. Ichi Forge has done a very small preview for the next month. They are happy to pronounce the new warband will be Wrath Chosen of Orm. They wanted to do a classic, recognizable style that emphasizes all the brutality and demonic power of this warband. This is the traditional style. M3 Deceon has released a preview of their December release, which you can see here. I do want to point out that they have commented that apparently their early bird is still available if you want to join their early bird, but it's apparently not performing in the way that they would like. And so if you want to join their early bird and lock in that low price, now's the time to do it. After December, they'll be taking that option away, and no future people will be able to fill those empty remaining slots after the month of December. So if you want to grab one of those slots, now is the time to do so. Labyrinth Models has released quite a few previews. These are Warriors of Poseidon. These are the Colossi, which is plural for Colossus, of Hephaestus. And I didn't put the picture here, but these are actually bigger than like a regular miniature. Here, if you didn't know, this winged fella, and we're dealing with Greek gods, that would be Icarus. It's kind of difficult to tell because it's not a box, it's a vase, but this is Pandora. Here we have Cassandra. At first I thought it was Cleopatra, but that wouldn't fit the Greek theme that we're dealing with here, would it? And they said that it was Cassandra. This is Perseus. I would say Labyrinth, not that you probably watch my videos, but I would like to see a version of Perseus where his shield is plain, because the version of Perseus I always knew was that he shined his shield to look like a mirror, so that he could fight Medusa and deal with her, but a small ask. Last Sword Miniatures has been released in several previews. Some of these right here are early previews. We'll come back and look at Condottiero. I'm mispronouncing that, I know, in just a minute. The pikeman is varies as well. We have both melee and missile here with a crossbow. We have some galloper guns, which are being horse-drawn here. And here is Cesar de Borgio. Now, he's also a very early model. We'll come back and look at him in just a second, too. So some of these are earlier preview models, and I just included them for the sake of completion. There's a siege crossbowman. So there's Condottiero on horse. So you can see this is a much more detailed miniature. For the adventurer tier, we have Viking archers Feardman. We have a herd of goats. And Cesar Borgio over there on the right. So like I said, you can see a lot more detail there. Loot Studios is actually, I don't know if they've always had this out. Maybe they did have, and I've just been missing it. But some previews, and we're not going to look at every single preview they've put out, but the month of December will be Rise of Draconians. So there's a version of, is that Tiamat? Or, no, it can't be Tiamat. That's Izatal, the Dragon Empress. Tiamat has 5 heads. This one has 6. We have a Draconian General. Lugvor Ulskin. Looks to be like your classic barbarian of sorts. Draconian Terror. A Draconian Slayer. The prop, apparently, will be a Wormling Decoration. I imagine he'll be upset because you're not the mama. Paint job is very well done, I will say that. Syndra Burfoot, with a name like Burfoot and with that hairstyle and the staff, is that a Kinder? Can't help but wonder. If so, hide the stuff, please. Owen the Dread Mountain as well. So just a small preview. We'll come back and look at these and more when the month starts, of course. Lost Kingdom Miniatures hasn't done any previews, but they did post about their Black Friday promo, and I did want to point out their Black Friday promo as well. So again, it's Black Friday time. Mantic Vault has not released their preview yet. All we see is unknown vessels sighted. I am assuming this is a reference to more Armada. We shall see. MOMMiniatures, or MOMMiniatures. I feel like it's Ministry of Miniatures is what it's a reference to, but I'm not sure. Has a couple of tiers actually for December. So is that what I think it is? Let's see. So we have level 1 and level 2. Obviously you get everything from level 1 in level 2. We have archers, we have cavalry, we have ogres, we have giant. That is a giant. That is a very different looking giant. So we have some archers, we have some cavalry. Those are ogres over on the left, apparently. Glad I read that. And then this is a giant. Just a different looking giant than I've ever seen. I'm impressed. As well as these characters here. Sorry, I was distracted by the giant. Mortals of Ashmourne is releasing the leader of a pirate captain, a pirate quartermaster as the support, and 3 common, which is the pirate crew. So all together, this is what you get with Mortals of Ashmourne. Thank you for including this image. I really like images that show everything at once. One Page Rules is releasing a few things. First off, they do have a Frontier coming soon on my mini factory, Duchies of Vinci. So if you want to sign up for that and get a free miniature or 2 now, and then decide if you want to support this when it comes out, that is part of their Age of Fantasy not science fiction. These are more steampunk sort. But for the month of December, we're going to be getting some more wood elves. So let's just take a look at some of these early renders. And this, I believe, is for Age of Fantasy Quest, Plague Demon Druid. Primal Collectibles has released a little preview of what they're intending for this month. I believe this is some classic artwork that they're using for inspiration. In fact, it says the images are just to illustrate the final product may differ. So, if you have any interest in those, basically Dark Sun themed release, then definitely hold on. It says Wasteland is the theme. The Printing Goes Ever On hasn't done a preview that I can see, but I do want to point out that they're doing 60% off of all their minis, all their bundles, till the 20th of December. So their Black Friday sale is more a month going. Also, and I did not realize, I don't know when exactly this happened, but Mortals of Ashmourne and Fleshcraft Studio are now part of the Ever On network. So they, in addition, they also do Props and Beyond and D&D as a Woman. So you can, for the month of November, as I understand it, if you subscribe to one of these, you will be able to get all 5 for the month of November. So just a couple more days you can take advantage of that, folks. I think you have to sign up for, go back to that real quick. I think you have to sign up for one and then you get like the free trials, but you would have to cancel before the end of the month, but just be aware of that. Rescale Miniatures has done a little bit of preview art, so let's take a look. Always impressive, of course. RPG Figures, very short here. Again, they have a Black Friday sale of minus 50% off. Be sure to check them out. They do both fantasy and science fiction. Sir Nicholas Miniatures, I felt an obligation to include them, have released a little bit of what appears to be some science fiction and some fantasy. So we're going to look at the fantasy release here, which is these. Again, these are previews. SolGood Miniatures is doing Blood Tusk, Orc Werebore Barbarian. Don't think that's the same character on the right, but I'm not sure. I don't know the name for that one. Threat Factory has released a very small teaser of their December 2024 release, which will apparently involve Kuatoa. So we'll be looking forward to seeing more from them. Ichi Forge Miniatures has released their preview. It looks like this month we'll be getting into Wolf Order and Animal Folk. And Animal Folk are apparently basically like beastmen of sorts. So we have some fairly large beastmen with either 2 arms or 4. Obviously very chaos based. We also have some centaur beastmen goat-like critters. We also have some satyr-like beastmen as well. If you have any interest in the Wheel of Time, these remind me of the were they Murlocs? That's not it's I cannot remember the name, but it's similar to that in their world. The Wolf Order seems to be kind of like these Norsemen, northern men that also, well, I guess are werewolves and have dire wolves and all sorts of various critters there. For the RPG corner, we have 3 different heroes over on the right, and each of those come in 3 different sculpts. And you get a Eton and a couple of Etter caps, which are the 2 smaller spider-like critters with it. Again, I don't know how to pronounce this name. Txarli Factory is doing some fantasy and some science fiction releases. We're going to look at just the fantasy for this video, and these seem to be jungle themed of sorts. So if you have any interest in any jungle themed creatures, and this could be sci-fi as well, it doesn't have to be fantasy, be sure to check these out. You'll see some of the science fiction over on the right there. But you know, the fantasy brick with the Aztec Mayan motif is pretty nice. Vae Victis Miniatures, or Vae Victis, has been releasing quite a few previews for December, and they seem to be pretty happy about these rats, as well as this Circus Harlequin release that's popping up for December as well. All of these are December previews. These marching rats, they just keep coming. You'll see what I mean. See, there he is again, marching along. We have some various circus-like creatures, and again, the marching rats. Also, don't forget, Black Friday is going on. Vae Victis, you can use code BF24 on My Mini Factory for a discount on any of their miniatures. And of course, that code works for most creators on My Mini Factory, but again, I like to put those graphics in when I can. White Angel was recommended by one of my viewers. It's a Patreon. It was recommended by one of my viewers, and I really appreciate this because I like these types of releases. This is the December release, which is 3 different armies being represented. So here's the Heirs of the Sun, and everything that you get with that. That seems to be some archers, some polearms, a single cavalry hero, a couple other heroes on mounts, and is that a phoenix up top? I'm pretty sure that's what that is. We have Slaves of Darkness. That is I think that's a manticore perhaps, and some sort of hydra, and some cavalry, and some foot soldiers, and some sort of, you know, character on the right with the mount. So lots of different stuff there. And then we have a dwarf empire. You have a king or leader on shield. You have some hammerers. You have some, I'm guessing those are rangers in the middle, some other axemen up at the top, and a couple of what seem to be like heroes or characters. Again, you have dwarves. You have my attention. White Werewolf Tavern has not done any previews, but again, I just wanted to point out, if you use BF24, you get 50% off. Witchsong Miniatures has released a small preview of what's coming in December with this fellow here, Cartrop, Defender of the North. We'll have 2 unique poses for you to print and paint. A noble demigod charged with the protection of the frigid and barren north, Cartrop will protect his lands with his life. Well, that's all the preview that I could find. I wanted to leave you with this fat dragon from Epic Miniatures. After watching my video, and it is Thanksgiving, you probably have eaten some turkey, and you probably want to do like that fella and lay down and rest for a while. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.